The clang of steel echoed through the sparring yard. Zane dodged another blow, barely, his legs trembling with exhaustion. He didn't have enhanced speed. No inner voice guiding his instincts, just bruises and the sharp taste of humiliation. "You're slower than a human," sneered Mark, a beta from Zane's pack, circling him with his training blade raised. "Maybe your wolf's as dead as you." Zane didn't answer. He just raised his fists again, ignoring the laughter from the other students. "Come on, Omega," Mark taunted. "Or are you going to cry like last time?" The instructor's voice cut through. "Enough, Mark. 5 more points and rotate." Zane lowered his fists and stepped back, jaw clenched tight. His lip was split, his ribs throbbed. But worse than the pain was the silence, the looks. Pity from some, disgust from others. He grabbed a towel from the side bench and wiped the blood from his mouth, alone. Later, in the locker room, he pulled on his hoodie, trying to hide the new bruises. A couple of boys from his dorm walked past without a glance. One of them muttered just loud enough for him to hear, "Why's he still here? He doesn't even shift." Zane shoved his bag into his locker and slammed it shut. He closed his eyes and took a slow breath. 3 days until the mating moon. The thought made his stomach twist. At dinner, he sat alone. The packed table was loud and full, but no one looked his way. Not even his older brother Derek, who avoided eye contact like Zane wasn't even there. A tray clattered as someone passed too close, knocking his water over. "Oops," a girl snickered. "Watch out, Ghost." Zane picked up his cup and dried the table with a napkin. Across the hall, he saw Elias, pristine, elegant, surrounded by admirers. The vampire prince didn't look his way, not yet. That night in his dorm room, Zane stared at the ceiling. Moonlight filtered through the window. He pressed his hand to his chest, hoping, just once, for a flicker of something. A growl, a stir, a sign. "Why won't you come out?" he whispered. His voice cracked. No answer, no shift, just silence. 3 days, he thought again. The mating moon would rise, bonds would snap into place, power would align, and he would have nothing, not even a name to be called by. Elias walked like the world owed him space. Students parted instinctively in the marble hallway, pressed against lockers, lowered their eyes. He didn't acknowledge them. He didn't need to. His reputation preceded him. Pure blood, top of his class, born from the first line. 2 younger vampires rushed to keep pace. "The faculty said you broke the old blood magic barrier in under a minute, Elias. That's a new record." "Of course it is. The last record holder was my uncle. He was drunk when he said it." They laughed. Elias didn't smile. Every move he made was calculated elegance. "Another mating moon this week," one of the girls said beside him, eyes hopeful. "Do you think the bonds will trigger for anyone important?" "Doubt it," Elias muttered, bored. "Everyone here reeks of desperation." He paused near a corridor window, something catching his attention. Below, on the sparring field, Zane stumbled out of a training circle, bloodied, bruised, alone. Elias's nostrils flared before he even realized why. A scent, wild, unshaped, familiar yet wrong. His heart gave a strange, reluctant thump. "No," he said under his breath. He stared at Zane, a pulse beating harder beneath his skin. Something old stirred in him, deep and unwelcome, a pull. Zane looked up for a moment as if sensing it too. Their eyes met. It was only for a second, but it hit like lightning. Elias took a step back. "That can't be. He's an Omega, a wolf." His hand trembled. He clenched it into a fist. This is a mistake, a glitch in the bond. He turned and walked away, not trusting his own voice. Behind him, the scent lingered. The bond had noticed. And it would not be ignored. Next day at class, combat theory dragged on like a funeral march. Zane kept his head low, scribbling notes he knew no one would bother to explain later. The instructor's voice droned over ancient rune formations and magical bloodlines, but it all faded into background noise. Until the door opened. A hush fell over the room. Elias entered. He didn't acknowledge anyone. He didn't need to. Even seated, he radiated tension like a storm cloud waiting to break. Zane felt it before he saw him, a sudden tightness in his chest. Heat prickled up his spine. His fingers froze over his notebook. Then the scent hit. Sweet, metallic, magnetic. He turned. Elias's gaze snapped to him across the room like a magnet finding its pair. Their eyes locked. Time stilled. "No," Elias whispered, just loud enough for nearby students to hear. His voice was sharp, venomous. Zane flinched. He looked away. This can't be happening. Not me. Not him. But the bond pulsed like a heartbeat in his chest. Elias turned to the instructor. I'm not staying. Professor Glynn frowned. We've barely begun, Prince Elias. I said I'm leaving. Without another word, Elias stormed out. The door slammed behind him with a crack of displaced air. Whispers erupted. Zane sat frozen. He could feel the gazes crawling across his skin. Someone laughed, high, mocking. Guess the prince smelled something foul. Zane didn't speak. Couldn't. His pulse still hadn't settled. The bond hadn't faded. If anything, it burned hotter now, like it had been noticed and refused to let go. Back in the hall, Elias gripped the stone railing until his knuckles turned white. This isn't real. Fate wouldn't pair me with him. His mind raced. A wolf, an omega, a male. Every layer of that bond defied logic, lineage, pride. It was beneath him, worse than beneath. It was a curse, and yet, the scent still clung to him. Even now, his fangs ached from the desire to bite. His throat burned with hunger he didn't understand. He slammed his fist into the marble. Cracks spider-webbed outward. Inside the classroom, Zane's hand touched his chest again. The bond had taken hold, and neither of them could stop it now. By the next morning, the bond was undeniable. Zane woke gasping from dreams that weren't his. Images of fangs, of fire, of cold fury wrapped in silk. The mating moon hadn't even risen yet. And still, he felt him. When Elias appeared in the courtyard that afternoon, all eyes turned. His expression was flat, controlled, dangerous. Zane stood beneath the training arches, rooted in place as Elias approached. Zane Alric, Elias said loud enough for the crowd to hear. Do you feel it? Zane nodded. He didn't trust his voice. His whole body trembled. Elias took a step closer. Too close. Then listen carefully, he said. I reject it. I reject you. This bond? It means nothing to me. Zane's eyes widened. His breath caught. Something inside him, some unseen thread, snapped. He gasped, staggering back as if struck. His hands went to his chest. His knees hit the stone. Pain flooded his veins like fire. His spine arched. His vision turned white. A scream tore from his throat. He convulsed on the ground. What the hell is happening to him? Someone whispered. Is that what happens when a bond gets rejected? I thought he didn't even have a wolf. No one moved to help. Blood trickled from Zane's nose, from the corner of his mouth. His body writhed, caught in the backlash of a broken, fated connection. Even Elias took a step back, his face unreadable. Zane whimpered, curled in on himself, and the world kept watching. He wasn't a person in their eyes. He was a broken thing. No one spoke when he crawled away, dragging himself toward the shadows. No one followed. He was alone. By evening, the whispers had spread like wildfire through the academy. No one wanted to sit near Zane. Even his assigned dorm room had been stripped by the time he returned. Sheets gone, drawer emptied, his name scratched off the doorplate. A beta from his pack stood in the hallway, arms folded. You're not welcome here anymore, he said. Zane blinked. I live here. Not after that. Another voice, Mark, of course, echoed from behind. You bonded with a leech prince and got rejected. You're a curse. We're not letting your stink drag down the pack. Zane looked between them, but no help came. Not from his dormmates, not from his brother. No one said a word. He left carrying nothing but his coat, the weight of shame trailing behind him like a second shadow. By nightfall, rain had started. It came in waves, sheets of cold slicing across the open fields outside the academy walls. Zane stumbled through the muddy edge of the forest, half blind, soaked and shaking. The bond still pulsed inside his ribs, a phantom pain. It made each breath jagged. Thunder cracked overhead. The storm was merciless, matching the chaos inside his chest. He didn't know where he was going, didn't care. He staggered onto the main road. The trees parted, his knees buckled. I can't. His vision tunneled, blood pounded in his ears. Rain slicked his hair to his forehead. His breath came shallow. The world blurred into headlights, bright, fast. He raised one hand, a weak, pitiful gesture, then everything went black. Tires screeched, a horn blared, then nothing. Dr. Adrian Style gripped the wheel, squinting through the sheets of rain. He'd just finished a 14-hour shift at the trauma center 2 towns over. His fingers ached, his back was shot, and he was dying for sleep and caffeine in reverse order. The last thing he expected to see on the rural road was a body. Shit! He slammed the brakes. When he reached the figure crumpled on the roadside, he froze. A teenage boy, barefoot, soaked, pale as snow and bleeding from the mouth. Style knelt beside him, checking for a pulse. "Hey, can you hear me, kid?" The boy didn't respond. He looked wrong. Not just injured. His skin was too hot for someone lying in the rain. His pulse flickered like static. There, gone, there again. What the hell? The nearest hospital was 30 minutes away. He wouldn't make it. Cursing under his breath, Style threw open the back of his SUV, laid the boy across the seats, and sped down the road toward his home clinic. An off-grid setup he used for freelance patch jobs, and the kind of patients hospitals wouldn't touch. Once inside, he laid the boy on the operating table and flipped on the overhead light. Rain still pounded the roof. He cut away the soaked shirt and began assessing the damage. Internal bleeding, broken ribs, maybe spinal trauma. But then the bleeding slowed, right in front of his eyes. The ribcage visibly shifted, bones aligned with an audible click. Style staggered back. No way, that's not human. He checked the boy's eyes. They flickered open for just a second, bright pale silver, then closed again. The boy's breathing steadied. Style sat on a stool and ran a hand through his soaked hair. What the hell did I just bring into my clinic? 2 weeks passed. Style never called the authorities. He wanted to. The kid was clearly more than he seemed, but every time he tried to make the call, something made him hesitate. Some instinct. The boy, Zane, as he'd eventually learned from the ID found tucked in his bag, remained unconscious but stable. Style kept him clean, hydrated, medicated, and warm. His body healed faster than human, but slower than anything natural. The night of the full moon arrived with heavy air and eerie quiet. Style poured himself a drink and sat on the edge of his couch, flipping through the same file for the 3rd time. Then he heard it. A deep, guttural growl. He rushed into the clinic room. Zane's body was rigid on the table, his back arched, his eyes snapped open, glowing, unfocused. "Zane!" His breathing turned animalistic. He let out a feral sound that didn't belong in any human throat. The overhead light flickered. And then, his body convulsed, his spine cracked, fingers curled like claws, bones snapped and reformed under his skin. Style backed away. The air grew heavy. The windows trembled. Zane roared, not in pain, in release. His form shifted once, twice, then fell still. He lay there, chest rising and falling, sweat soaking the sheets. His eyes flicked to Style, still glowing. "Who?" Zane rasped, voice rough and low. "Are you?" Style stared. "I could ask you the same thing." Zane's head rolled back. He exhaled. The full moon rose higher outside the window. Something ancient had finally woken inside him.